As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left. Cause I've been blasted and laughing so long that even my mama thinks that my mind is gone. I never crossed a man that didn't deserve it. To be treated like a punk, you know that's unheard of. You better watch how you're talking and where you're walking, or you and your homies might be lying to chalk. I really hate the trip, but I gotta low. As I grow, I see myself in a pistol smoke. I'm the kind of chick the little homies wanna be like, on my knees in the night, saying prayers in the street light. Been spending most our lives living in the gangster's paradise. Been spending most our lives living in the gangster's paradise. Keep spending most our lives living in the gangster's paradise. Keep spending most our lives living in the gangster's paradise. Look at the situation they got me facing. I can't live a normal life. I was raised by the streets, so I gotta be down with the hood team. Too much television watching got me chasing dreams. I'm an educated fool with money on my mind. Got my tan in my head and the cream in my eye. I'm a locked out gangster, set tripping beggar, and my homies is down, so don't erupt my anger, fool. That ain't nothing but a heartbeat away. I'm living life do or die. What can I say? I'm 23 now, but will I live to see 24? The way things is going, I don't know. Tell me, why are we so blind to see that the ones we hurt are you and me? Been spending most our lives living in the gangster's paradise. Been spending most our lives living in the gangster's paradise. Keep spending most our lives living in the gangster's paradise.
Yo, I think all the atheists are scared.
Living in the gangster's paradise. Power and the money, money and the power. Minute after minute, hour after hour. Everybody's running, but half the thing they look is going on in the kitchen. But I don't know what's cooking. They say I gotta learn, but nobody's here to teach me. If they can understand it, how can they reach me? I guess they can't, I guess they won't, I guess they got it. That's why I know my life is out of luck.
Huh?
What's up? Welcome.
Can you turn down the music in the background?
Yeah.
Turn it off if you can.
Yeah, I did.
What's you said debate me live. You want someone to debate you?
Yeah, what would you like to say?
What's your first prompt?
Christianity is objectively proven.
And what are you?
What? I'm a Christian.
What are you?
A Christian.
You are a Christian going against Christians?
Why would I go against Christians?
Your prompt, you told me, this prompt is going against Christian. Are you a Christian or not? I'm thinking you're not.
Oh, well, I don't really care what you think. I'm a Christian.
What kind of?
Non-denominational, like Protestant.
And what denomination would be that?
Non-denominational.
And that means nothing to me. What denomination is that?
Non-denominational.
You think I'm just some regular person on the planet? Non-denominational has a denomination. You do realize that, right? Never mind. You never researched that. He never wrote a book. He never did nothing. Don't follow him.
What are you talking about?
You cannot follow him to the light. He cannot save you. He cannot even guide you. Is that correct?
Are you?
Who are you, chosen one? Can I speak to you, or do I have to speak in code? Can I speak to you?
I can't understand you. You're crazy.
You can't.
Keep spending most our lives living in the gangster's paradise. Keep spending most our lives living in the gangster's paradise. Tell me, why are we so blind to see that the ones we heard are you and me. Tell me why are we so blind to see that the ones we heard are you and me.
I've been so focused on apologetics. My theology is pretty weak. But I mean, I'm reading a book right now on Christian ethics, so
This President's Day,
I'm
we
trying to
get rid of
learn.
the stylish
I just
space
spent a lot of time
modular
learning
sectional
about
starting at six.
apologetics because, like, I was interested in debates before I became a Christian. So when I became a Christian, one of the things I like have fun doing the debates. So that's what I studied. So it's kind of funny that like I can prove Christianity pretty well, but then like a lot of the people I talk to, like atheists, know the Bible better than me. That's kind of funny, huh? Yeah, I was raised Catholic, so I never read the Bible. Welcome, Josephus.
Hi, thanks for having me up.
You're welcome. What would you like to say?
So, I mean, you can disagree fundamentally with atheism. You could say, like, I believe, like, I'm not saying that theism is wrong or that there is no God, but basically, I mean, atheism or people are like, like, I've never had spiritual experiences, therefore I'm an atheist. That's still a rational claim. That's not irrational if you've never had a theological experience to prove that you believe that God exists.
Well, I think that like the fact that an atheist can be rational would like be objective proof of the Christian God. So,
Is faith rational? Does it have to be?
um, well, faith is just like the idea that you have like a strong confidence that something's true.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean faith also is not something that's not necessarily rational. I mean, you can have strong faith in miracles that are not proven by science or things that are unexplainable by science, okay? And
Right.
that may not necessarily be rational. There are Christian mystics, for example, that reject rationality. They believe that God and Jesus and the Trinity are mysteries, okay, are divine mysteries that can only be explained at the mystical and not the rational level. So if you're an atheist and you only like, it's possible to only believe in rationality and be an atheist. It's very possible to be a person of faith and reject rationality.
But I would say that like atheism and rationality are like mutually exclusive because atheism would make rationality impossible.
Why? Because
So,
atheists only believe in things that are provable. Like you can't prove the mystery of the
well,
Trinity.
no,
It's not provable. It's a mystery. It's
no.
it's on faith.
Well,
It's something people put their faith into. It's not
uh,
rationally explainable. It's
well,
beyond human comprehension.
yeah, there are things about God that we don't know. Our worldview can't like
Okay, if we can't know them, then
can
they
I
can't
talk?
be
You're not letting me
rational.
talk. So my worldview can't explain everything, right? But the fact of the matter is that my worldview can ground rationality itself, while atheism would undermine rationality. So
How? Because rationality can only explain what can be seen, heard, tested. It's only things that you can
that's
actually
empiricism.
feel.
That's empiricism. That's not rationalism.
No, but that is atheism in a nutshell. Atheism rejects the idea of faith because you can't quantify it through science.
Yeah, okay. But I mean, it's not really a matter of like faith. Like that's faith just means you like have a strong confidence that something's true. And
So that would mean, therefore,
as a
that
Christian,
atheism is
like excuse
rational.
me, Christians are evidence based, right? Like Christians, want evidence and like good reasons to think.
What's your evidence of the
Here's me
Trinity?
talking.
It's a
So
mystery.
Christians are not like goofy ass atheists who just believe things. But they go, "Oh, it is because it is." Atheism, right? Christians have evidence for their position.
Okay, so you have full evidence. For example, can you prove that when the Gospels talk about Jesus's brothers and sister, that they're not actually literally his brothers and sisters? Like that's not just a church father's stance. Like even things in the New Testament, there's disagreements amongst Christians.
Sure,
Okay.
we've been given freedom by God, so freedom's real. So we have freedom to bear witness to the Word of God. There's a little bit of like wiggle room through like we also have the freedom and responsibility to interpret God's world.
But you just said everything's explainable through Christianity. There are certain things that you don't believe are mysterious.
No, I said
God doesn't work in mysterious ways. Even the New Testament says that God works in mysterious ways, right?
well, yeah, that there's some like because God's a hidden God, we don't know everything about God. But
Well, there you go. So you embrace the mystery of that, and that is part of your faith. That's not rational, right? And that's okay because faith is not built on rationality. Atheism is a fully 100% rationalistic worldview. You may disagree, and I may disagree, but I'm not an atheist. I'm not an atheist.
Okay, but
I believe in God, by the way, but I don't think it's irrational.
Atheism would contradict rationality. That's what you're not. So
Why? How?
actually, any non-Christian position, because Christianity provides the preconditions to make
That's
rational.
even further out there statement, dude, because Christianity is built off of Judaism. So you're saying Judaism's irrational, but Christianity is rational? Like,
Yeah.
prove that.
Well, yeah,
Because Christianity is built out of Judaism. So you're
what?
saying Christianity, therefore, is irrational too?
No, that's a genetic fallacy. So
No, it's not actually, because is Christianity built out of Judaism?
You're very you're not behaving very well. You're very belligerent.
I'm not belligerent. I'm asking questions. That's all.
I'm not belligerent. As he's being belligerent. Welcome. And there we go. There's literally like when he's like, I'm not belligerent. It's like a performative contradiction, right? Like, what the hell's wrong with you? Freaking goofballs, man. Goofy. We could do like a debate review, I guess. How about Darth versus Destiny?
What happens when you connect to quantum fiber? You get internet that brings your digital world to life.
This clowns in the chat. The atheist clowns in the chat. I would have talked to that belligerent guy. I would have talked to him longer, but it's like someone else was requesting, and he's being extremely belligerent, so I thought I should move on. But then the guy that was requesting just dipped. So that kind of... I would have talked to the belligerent guy a little bit longer, but...
So it turns out that the atheists actually violate.
Belligerent guy requesting back.
Belligerent guy here upon your request, sir. Reporting for duty of belligerence.
Yeah, like so. What I don't know where were we? Yeah, Christianity is objectively proven. I can like walk you through arguments to show that.
Look, that's something you take on faith. I think that that's acceptable. I don't want to argue Christianity right or wrong. Look, faith is faith. God is God. That's between you and God. That's not between me and you. I mean,
Faith is evidence based. I can objectively prove Christianity.
yeah, but you're saying, okay, that all other religions have no rationality at all. Okay, that was the broad statement. You said only Christianity is rational. That was what you said. And then what I said was that Christianity is built on the foundation of Judaism. So therefore, if Judaism was irrational, okay, then Christianity, because it's built on the foundation of irrationality, would be irrational too. So, like, that's not a fallacy. Like, unless you reject the idea that Christianity is built upon the foundation of Judaism.
But the Jews rejected God, who's the source of
I
rationality.
mean, but Jesus was a Jew. Most of the disciples were Jews, were they not?
If you reject Jesus, then like you can't make
Jesus
sense.
built his covenant on the old
not
covenant
listening
with the
to me.
Jews.
You're not listening to me.
He
So
based most of his parables.
listen to me. If you deny Jesus, knowledge is impossible, and knowledge is related to reason and logic.
What verse does it say that knowledge is impossible without Jesus?
And there's no verse.
Name the verse.
It's an argument. It's not a verse.
Name the verse, though. Get biblical.
Jesus says, "I am the truth." So if you deny Jesus, you deny.
Okay, but what does he represent? Who is Jesus? Jesus is a first century
Do
Jew.
the Jews deny Jesus?
But he is a first century Jew, and that's where
my question. Answer my
most
question.
of his own
Answer
theology.
my question. Hello, McFly. Answer my question. So, do the Jews deny Jesus?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Eventually,
Jesus
yeah.
is the truth. So they deny the truth. Therefore, they're not rational.
Well, it's not about the Jews. It's about what Christianity built itself on. It's not about what the
That's a genetic fallacy. You judge
it's not.
It is.
No,
it's called a genetic fallacy. It's a
fallacy. Because the whole idea of sacrifice.
You don't care.
No, but in Christianity, the idea that Jesus is the Lamb comes from Judaism.
Bro, this is sophism.
No, it's not.
Sophism.
It's
yes,
not.
it is. That's a genetic fallacy.
Unless you reject the
idea. Okay, you just won't shut the fuck up. Good Lord. Ugh. Just kept. What if I just keep talking and I never stop talking? Then I can always win, because if I just never stop talking and I just keep talking, then you can't ever say anything. And if you can't ever say anything, then you can't rebuttal my argument. And I'll just keep making arguments after arguments, and I'll never stop talking, and then you never win. He wouldn't even let me talk. What are you talking about? I was trying to talk. He kept interrupting me. He's belligerent as fuck.
Like the principle that they're standing on, they require rational justification for the absolute known as God, but the absolute that they're reasoning from, they have no right.
I am being belligerent because that guy's out of fucking line. And if you don't deal with these people firmly, they don't know how to act. Like, the guy lacks a father. No one's checked him. He goes through life acting like this, and no one's ever told him, listen, you're not allowed to act like that. He's like an out of control dog. He needs a dog trainer. He needs someone to whip his ass. That's what he needs.
Justification for it. And then they'll say, oh, it's axiomatic.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Oh, good to see you here. Would you like to continue the conversation?
Yeah, I absolutely would. I have a better working vocabulary.
You want to start where we left off?
No, we can actually start from the very beginning.
Okay, good. So you're an atheist. What is your principled criterion of atheism?
I don't believe there's any justification for the belief in God.
So that's an appeal to ignorance fallacy. So atheism isn't just a psychological state. In the philosophy of religion, atheism is a proposition. So when we're talking about atheism, we're not talking about your psychological state. We're not doing psychology, we're doing debate, which is philosophy. So atheism is propositional.
If there was rational justification for God, would you believe in him?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, would God by definition be an absolute upon which everything depends?
Not necessarily, I'm not sure.
What?
God by definition would be, let's say, the Christian God is an immaterial mind who has the power to initiate and bring into existence everything that exists and sustain it. So by that definition, God would be the absolute, right?
By that definition, yes.
Okay, good. So that's the working definition that I'd like to work with. Is that acceptable to you?
Yeah.
So you reject the belief in an absolute known as the Christian God because it's not rationally justified, right?
Correct.
Is that an arbitrary principle or a consistent one?
It is somewhat consistent.
Yes.
Well, it's either.
Yes. If anyone wants to request I'm live and I will debate on these topics. Since no one is requesting because the atheists are cowards, I'm playing a debate between Darth Dawkins and Destiny. And I'm going to make comments.
Arbitrary or not arbitrary? Which is it?
So I understand now what the technique is. So what we're going to get into is presuppositionalism, right? Do you want to just start that conversation?
Is it arbitrary or not arbitrary?
I can't answer you yes or no like this because I understand how the trap works.
Is your principle one that you use consistently?
I understand how the trap. He calls it a trap. Talking about our foundational beliefs. So we're having a debate about evidence. So shouldn't we talk about how we interpret the interpretive schemes we are using to evaluate evidence? So isn't that kind of important? And he calls it a trap.
Past presuppositional beliefs, yes, it is.
Okay, so you're consistent in applying rational justification for your ultimate beliefs. Is that right?
Past presuppositional beliefs, yes, it is.
I don't know what that means. Okay, that's more verbal misdirection. Do you require rational justification for your most ultimate beliefs?
Are you going to let me to explain this, or you're going to keep talking over me?
Well, I'd like a non-evasive.
Well, because God is an ultimate belief, right? So if we take God to be an ultimate belief, and we're expected to provide evidence for our ultimate belief, well, then our opposition, when they have another ultimate belief that's not God, they're going to have to defend their ultimate belief. I don't see why the non-Christian just gets an automatic ultimate belief without, get out of jail free card on their ultimate belief. But somehow we're obligated to defend our ultimate belief tooth and nail. And they get off scot-free.
Response.
Sure. So the response is past presuppositional beliefs, yes.
Oh, I don't know
what Destiny is trying to say is that so we just grant ultimate beliefs, and then past ultimate beliefs, we have to justify those beliefs. But if we just grant ultimate beliefs, then we would have to grant God, and we can't debate that. Because we're debating ultimate beliefs, and he's trying to skirt ultimate. He doesn't want to debate ultimate beliefs. He wants to. What they're doing, because God's like an ultimate fact, they want to deny that God is an ultimate fact. They're trying to debate God as if he's just a regular, everyday, street-level fact. God's not a street-level fact. God is a cosmic fact. So it's kind of an equivocation what they do when they want to say, like, you have to prove your cosmic facts, and I don't have to prove my cosmic facts. And so they're trying to treat God as if he's like a street-level fact. He's not.
Explain it?
Yeah, sure.
So the foundation of which we build our reason and our logic on is on presupposed beliefs. So presupposed beliefs such as I experience things, or causality exists, or I can create logical, rational statements. These are things.
Those are all the things that are the proof of God. So he's saying all these things that we would use to show that God exists, he's just going to say they're true in virtue of the fact that it is what it is. That's losing the debate, though.
That are.
Because that is what the debate is over. How do we know those things are the case? And he's just granting them. They're just assuming them. The previous guy was talking about faith. Well, they're putting faith, like blind faith. They're putting blind faith in I exist. Causality is real. Uniformity of nature. Identity over time. Logic. Truth. Justice, the American way.
By definition, unjustified, that every single person that engages in any sort of argument has to rely on.
Is that true?
Yes.
How do you know that?
because that's the bounds of what we can prove as human.
Oh,
yes.
okay. So our most
So he says humans are limited. That's actually what our argument is. So he's saying humans are limited, that we can't like prove, we can't explain logic. We just give it. It's just like the myth of the given. We just give ourselves logic. And that's what we're saying. We're saying because humans are limited, these are because of these limitations in our knowledge, that we have to accept revelation knowledge from God, or else we'll be in a model of reality that won't be able to basically demonstrate anything is true. That's why flat earthers exist. Do you see this? They can't even definitively prove that the earth is a sphere, even with all their evidence. Because of our paradigm, the way it works, you can always deny evidence. Because they're in a model of reality of open ultimate mystery. But in a Christian worldview, we could definitively like demonstrate that the earth is a sphere. And there'd be like no dispute between like a sphere earth and a flat earth.
foundational mental states don't have a justificatory path.
Correct.
Good. So that necessarily entails the falsity of the Christian God.
It what?
It necessarily follows from that the falsity of the Christian God. Are you aware of that?
Not necessarily. Well, unless your definition of the Christian.
No,
okay,
necessarily it would, because in the Christian worldview, by definition, the Christian God has ordained and sovereignly given us our most foundational beliefs about reality, and they're therefore, by definition, not axiomatic or assumptions.
Okay.
So what Darth is saying there to Destiny, he's saying that these fundamental parameters of reality that you take for granted, like causality, I exist, the external world is real, those are explained by the Christian God. They're not just like, we're limited as humans, so it just is.
Sure.
So,
yeah, I can accept that. Sure.
Right. So what your assertion that our most foundational mental states are axiomatic or unjustified assumptions, then from that it necessarily follows the falsity of the Christian God. So agreed?
Sure.
Okay, good. Do you have a defeater for the Christian God?
Can you explain what you mean by defeater?
Yeah, if you don't have a defeater that falsifies the Christian God, then your stipulation that our most foundational beliefs are axiomatic or just assumptions is not necessarily true.
Darth is asking Destiny, he's saying that like, look, I've put forth my position that like God's revealed himself as ultimate. And then he's asking for a defeater. So he's asking Destiny is like, what is ultimate that's not God? What can you put on the table that's not God, that can do the thing God does?
I don't think that I need a defeater for a belief.
Yeah, you do. You need a defeater.
You need to say that God is not ultimate. You need to say what is ultimate that's not God, because if there's no ultimate, we can't debate. See, they don't understand that in a world without an ultimate foundation, there's no debate. So unless you come to the debate with something that's ultimate in your model of reality, then you can't debate. So he has to defeat Darth, he has to provide a coherent like system.
The existence of God, or the existence of the Christian God, because in the case that the Christian God exists, unless you rule him out, then in the case that he exists, then your stipulation is not necessarily true, that we start from foundational assumptions.
If
I think it's a great place. I love my
foundational assumptions lead.
So, if what Darth is saying is true, then what Destiny just said is not true, right? So, what Darth is presenting would falsify Destiny's claim. But Destiny doesn't have anything to back his claim other than his argument is, well, these are the limits of human knowledge. And Darth is saying, well, yeah, because our human knowledge is limited, that's not enough to provide grounds to debate, that we need to accept God's revelation, and then we can debate.
To your definition being incorrect, then I guess
because if you're in a position where there's ultimate mystery. You don't know what the ultimate foundation for truth is. You have ultimate mystery. If two people disagree, there's no way, there's no context to determine who's correct or who's incorrect. It's just one opinion versus another opinion. It doesn't matter if you have empirical evidence or whatever.
Foundationally, I would acknowledge
Because I can just interpret the empirical evidence differently.
that your definition is impossible. Sure, but
I'm waiting for a defeater for the Christian God. What is it?
I've already applied one. If my presuppositional beliefs are the defeater, then that would be the defeater.
And giving me an if is not a defeater. Do you have a defeater?
I'm going by your definition. Your definition was that my presuppositional beliefs rule out the existence of your Christian God. Can I please finish my sentence, please, before you cut me off? Okay. So you asked me to provide a defeater to your Christian God after you told.
Yeah, but all he has is a hypothetical. Darth isn't bringing a hypothetical. Darth has the Christian worldview. So we have tangibility in the Bible is tangible. The history of the church is tangible. And there's metaphysical realities like uniformity of nature, law of identity, or I should say identity over time maybe. There's metaphysical realities that all these things indicate the Christian God. They're tangible. He's not just saying... he's not just saying if hypothetically the Christian God's true. So a hypothetical can't defeat like tangible evidence.
Me that my presuppositions were a defeater for your Christian God. So I don't understand why you're asking me for a defeater when I've apparently already provided you one.
Are you using circular?
He didn't say his presuppositions were a defeater. He just said they would be mutually exclusive with the Christian God.
Please, can you please let me finish a statement before you cut me off?
I thought you were done.
Okay, I was almost done, but you're really anxious to get in with your next fallacy, okay? So just let me finish a statement before you go on. Go ahead.
So you're done?
I'm done now, yes.
Okay. Is your defeater for the Christian God circular?
If you consider an unjustified presuppositional belief circular, yes.
Okay, so you show that the Christian God is false because of an unjustified stipulation?
If those unjustified stipulations are presuppositional beliefs, yes.
Okay, so the Christian God doesn't exist because you just imagine it.
This is completely non sequitur. I'm sorry. Can you explain?
Okay, so
it's not a non sequitur. That's exactly what Destiny's arguing. He's saying the Christian God doesn't exist because, in my opinion, it doesn't exist.
Okay, so what fundamental idea that you hold to falsifies the Christian God?
The fundamental idea is that we cannot epistemologically defend causal chain of events or rational like forms of argument or our observations as conscious beings, that these are indefensible, that we cannot do as humans.
I'm not understanding what you just said. How does that falsify the Christian God?
It falsifies it because you told me that my presuppositional beliefs necessarily falsify it. That was your statement. You connected those two things together.
No, I didn't say that. I said what necessarily follows from that.
Okay.
I didn't say that your stipulation falsified. You see, you need to look.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Darth said it's just mutually exclusive. He didn't say it's a defeater.
Listen more carefully to what I say.
I'm listening very carefully to what you say.
Good. Well, what you just said to me showed me that you weren't.
Okay, can I?
True. He's probably just thinking about sending nudes to someone. Welcome, Neo.
Were you playing a clip of someone saying something?
I was playing a debate between Destiny and Darth Dawkins.
Ooh. Keep playing it.
What? Well, if you're joining, why do you want to play?
I thought my phone was glitching. So I was like, maybe I'm not saying shit.
Okay. I'm not sure why you joined.
Summarize.
If I say what necessarily follows entails the falsity of the Christian God, that doesn't mean that stipulation falsifies the Christian God. If your assertion can be shown to be veridical, then you would have a defeater, but you didn't show that it was veridical.
Whoever does that, I'm gonna.
Yeah, Darth's correct.
End you, okay? No nobes on this stream.
Okay. Now, I'm still waiting for a very cogent, very circumspect falsifier for the Christian God. Is it your basal assumption that falsifies the Christian God?
Basil.
It would appear so, according to your definition, yes.
No, not my definition. I'm asking you, what is it in one sentence or two that necessarily falsifies the Christian God?
I presuppose things such as my ability to observe or have a conscious experience.
What are you presupposing?
I'm presupposing that logic or reason exists. I presuppose that causal events happen. I presuppose that I can observe things.
Let's go through the.
What the hell? This is just like I presuppose logic. I presuppose logic. Oh my god, Destiny is crashing and burning.
It's one at a time.
Sure.
One at a time. Okay, so you presuppose that logic exists. Are you talking about reason?
But see, if logic exists, that right there proves so logic isn't just created by humans. It's a real universal principle. If he takes the position that logic is created by humans, the debate's over because I can say, well, I just created logic to prove God. Because logic is what we use to say if something's true or false. So if humans just create logic, then I can just create logic to say anything's true. So that's not going to work. So logic has to be a real universal principle. Now, the laws of logic are propositional, which means they're statements that can be either true or false. And propositions are not physical things. They don't have mass, energy, or location in space-time. Propositions do have intentionality. They are about something, like thoughts. And only thoughts have intentionality. Non-mental things, like rocks, aren't about anything. But the laws of logic are about truths. They're propositions about truth. So if the laws of logic are thoughts, they must belong to a mind. Thoughts don't exist without thinkers. And that since the laws of logic exist necessarily, they're true in every possible world and cannot be false. Only a necessary existing mind can account for necessary existing thoughts. This necessary existing mind is what we call God. So since laws of logic exist necessarily, it must be thoughts. In a necessarily existing mind, God exists. Game over, Destiny.
The name, or are you talking about the laws of logic?
I'm talking about our epistemological understanding of logic that
welcome, Moyman. Hello?
Hello.
All right, let's go. All right. I didn't kick him. Oh, he's requesting back up.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, so
Yeah, an extra life.
what do you think about Islam?
I'm not allowed to talk about it. Maybe I should say, like, if you're Muslim, if there's not more room on my screen, I'd say Muslims, please do not request.
A can lead to B, can lead to C, truth tables, basic things like that.
No, we need to get even more rudimentary than that.
Okay, how about this? How about deductive reasing? Let's go with that.
We have to go even more foundationally than that. Let's talk about A equals A and A cannot equal not A. Does the stipulation that A cannot not equal not A, does that falsify the Christian God?
According to you, it does.
No, it doesn't. I never said that. I want you, does the assertion A cannot equal not A at all times in all places falsify the Christian God?
I don't know. I'm not sure. It depends on your definition of the Christian.
That's what you're arguing, Destiny. Destiny said, I presuppose the laws of logic, therefore the Christian God doesn't exist. So that he would be essentially saying, because A cannot equal not A, Therefore, the Christian God exists. That's what Darth's asking. Darth is trying to. He doesn't even know what he's saying. It's so bad.
Oh, wait a minute. Well, I'm still waiting. I just gave you my definition.
Okay,
of
well,
Christian
then I would
God.
say
Atheist brain. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
How is science a theistic concept?
Because it requires like connections between the mind and the natural world to learn them, study the natural world, and God provides the connection, or like the uniformity of nature. Scientific experiments require
Hold on a sec.
uniformity.
Science as a concept is just the observation of natural phenomena
Right, that
through the
requires
scientific method.
that requires God to observe natural phenomena. You need God. So science.
So,
What?
wait, what did you say?
To observe natural phenomena, God is required.
Why?
So, because you wouldn't be able to explain like how you could intelligibly experience the world without the Christian worldview.
How?
How?
Yeah.
Well, like you need a lot of things to be true. Like you need uniformity of nature to be true to observe the world, because the world.
No, I don't.
Okay, well, you just don't know what you're talking about, and you're bickering.
No, I'm just trying to understand why you say what you say.
Yeah, well, you might have to read some more books, because you might you're not gonna be able to
Give me
understand.
3 books to read.
I mean, basically, like I'll dumb it down. Okay, so like Jesus is the truth, and science can't tell us what the truth is. And philosophers can't tell us what the truth is. So if you deny Jesus, you're denying the truth itself, which would be absurd.
How did you figure out Jesus is the truth?
He said so.
How did you figure out he wasn't lying?
If he's lying, then what's the truth?
Literally anything else. I'm saying, how do you know he is saying the truth?
I'm saying if you deny it, you'll be reduced to absurdity, because what else would be the truth if it's not Jesus? You wouldn't.
There's many, many worldviews. I'm saying, why does his one have to be
There's
the
no
truth?
answer to that question.
You said that if Jesus is false and whatever worldview is true,
Yeah.
you can have an atheistic, a Muslim, a Jewish, a Buddhist, a Hindu, a deistic. There's so many other worldviews. I'm saying, why is the Christian one correct?
Because all the other worldviews make knowledge impossible, so that they wouldn't have truth, because Jesus is the truth.
How do I know this? I want to know this.
What do you mean?
I want to know that what you're saying is true because I want to follow the
You're
truth.
gonna have to like read and study, because like
Yeah. What did you read and study?
there's a book called The Objective Proof for Christianity.
Who wrote that?
Yeah, go on. There's the book. The Objective Proof for Christianity, the Presuppositionalism of Cornelius Van Til and Greg L. Bonson. Edited by Joshua Pillows.
Okay, and what did it prove?
It objectively proves the Christian worldview.
Can you give me an example of how it does that?
Yeah, to the impossibility. I mean, I'm giving you the argument. Essentially, I'm trying to dumb it down, because, like, you'd have to read the book to really understand it.
Uh-huh.
But essentially, only Christians have like a coherent theory of knowledge. So all the other worldviews make knowledge impossible.
Wait, hold on. Repeat that sentence. I didn't hear it properly.
Only Christians have a coherent theory of knowledge, and on every other worldview, knowledge becomes impossible. So therefore, due to the impossibility contrary, Christianity is necessarily true.
What is the worldview that Christians share that actually explains reality that other worldviews don't share?
Well, like we have a Trinitarian God, and no other worldview has a Trinitarian God. And without a Trinitarian God, knowledge would be impossible, because either if the God's Unitarian, then distinctions between objects would become fake, and then that, because ultimately everything would just be one substance. There wouldn't be real distinctions.
I remember you earlier saying the uniformity of nature, which suggests singular nature, a singular past point on nature. So what you're saying actually aligns with
No,
Unitarian.
uniformity of nature just has to do with like when you drop a pen, it falls to the ground. So then in the future, when you drop a pen, it will fall to the ground. That's the uniformity of nature.
Yeah, that suggests a singular creator if anything. So I don't get how that suggests a Trinitarian creator. I mean, creator of the Trinity.
Those are different arguments. So duh.
No, but you just gave me a point, and I'm saying how does that relate to your other point? Listen, I don't mind believing.
They're different arguments to prove God. They're not related. They're different arguments.
Yeah, what is one
related?
of the
They're only related in that they both prove Christianity.
Yeah, what is the best one? Would you say?
There's no best one.
Give me a really good one.
Well, that's why I think you need to read it. I think you're like too low information to understand it, I guess.
I think I'd understand. I mean, if God wants us to seek Him, then I don't think He would make it too complex to find Him.
If knowledge, then God. Knowledge exists, therefore God exists.
You have to substantiate premise one.
Yeah, but you're too low information. I was trying to do that.
How? Are you
saying the same knowledge? Because for knowledge, you need uniformity of nature, identity over time, cause and effect, reliability of senses, and cognitive function. So the Christian worldview can account for and explain all those things. No other worldview can. So
explain how the Islamic worldview does not explain it.
What?
Explain how the Islamic worldview does not explain it.
The Muslim worldview?
Yeah.
They have a Unitarian God, and also the Quran says Allah lies. So if Allah lies, then he can't be a source of knowledge because he can lie to you.
I mean, I'm not sure if the Quran says that, and also.
Oh well, then why are you bringing it up, dumbass?
Because
why don't you read it? Hey, why don't you read a book, dummy?
Because I can provide a biblical verse of God being a deceiver in the Bible.
No, you can't. The Bible says God's always truth revealing.
I can show you where he was a deceiver.
Yeah, you can't. The Bible says God was always truth revealing.
And the Bible also says he sent deceiving spirits.
He just limited his grace.
So he deceived by lying. So how do you deceive someone? What is deception?
You're lying on the Bible?
No, I can give you the verse if you actually care about it.
I know what verse you're talking about. I've researched it. It doesn't say that God is lying.
What verse am I talking about?
You're talking about when God sent a deceiving spirit. So God uses evil to destroy evil. So if you're a liar, God will allow you to believe lies.
If you look at the interlinear, when it says deceiving spirit, it literally says his spirit, which suggests it's actually his spirit, which would suggest the Holy Spirit if you want to take that interpretation. So that would be God himself in the Trinitarian worldview. So God is a liar, according to that interpretation. This is 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 19 to 23.
What Bible scholar says that God? What Bible scholar says this? Is this just your opinion?
No, I'm looking at the interlinear Bible.
Doesn't he say straight up, I'm always...
What?
I'm tripping. I thought Hebrews, God specifically directly said, I'm always truth revealing. In the past, God spoke to our ancestors through the prophets at many times and in various ways, but in the last days, he has spoken to us by his Son. He has pointed heir to all things. I'm tripping. I guess I was weird. Yeah, anyways. Yeah, so that's the problem with Islam. Allah's a deceiver, so if your God's not always truth revealing, then knowledge is impossible. But the Christian God is always truth revealing. So.
Yeah, and how are you addressing what I just said? Where there's a verse in the Bible that suggests that God is deceiving people.
There's Bible scholars who have arguments to show you're interpreting it incorrectly.
That is assuming. I don't even think you've seen the argument.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So what is the response?
I told you God, through his grace, limits sin, right? And all he did was he removed his grace from someone. Because he removed his grace, God didn't lie, but lying spirits lied to the person who he removed grace from. So God didn't actively lie; he just removed his grace to protect someone from lies.
Yeah, so the actual Hebrew says that the God's spirit.
Are you a Hebrew Bible scholar?
I'm looking at the interlinear, and I'm also looking at the concordance entries for this Hebrew word.
But are you a scholar?
I'm looking at what the scholars say.
What Bible scholar are you?
I'm looking at every single concordance there is.
What Bible scholar?
Do you know what a concordance is?
You know what a Bible scholar is?
Yeah, there's many.
Yeah. What Bible scholars?
Do you know who writes concordances? Do you know who writes concordances?
What Bible scholar? Are you going to answer my question? I'm going to kick you off my panel.
No, I said Strong's Concordance, for example. That's written by a Bible scholar.
You're not going to answer what Bible scholar?
I just answered your question.
Answer my question, or I will kick you. What Bible? Okay. Have a nice day.
Strong's Concordance was written by a Bible scholar.
Fucking goofy. Strong's Concordance. The Strong's, is that a Bible scholar? Is Strong's Concordance a Bible scholar? He's not just disagreeing, he's full of shit. No Bible scholar says the Christian God is a liar. No Bible scholar says that. That guest is a maniac, an unhinged, raving lunatic, spreading lies and slander. Has no idea what he's talking about. Low information. But that's what happens. The Bible says when you reject God, you become a fool, and that guy was a fool times 100.
Necessarily no. That particular thing necessarily no.
I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting. And give me a circumspect case that the Christian God doesn't exist, because in the absence of you falsifying the Christian God, then your stipulation that we all start foundationally in terms of unjustified axioms is not necessarily true. So you have to falsify the Christian God at least.
Do you realize that you're talking in a circle?
I'm waiting.
Do you not believe you are?
I'm waiting for you to falsify the Christian God, sir.
So what I have said is that I believe in certain presuppositions that are necessarily unjustified. You said that those presuppositions necessarily entail that God doesn't exist. And now you're asking me why God doesn't exist. Do you want to talk about whether or not we can presuppose those things?
Listen, sir, if you think...
Why is he just ignoring? So Darth is asking him to justify those unjustified. He's saying that your unjustified claim doesn't falsify my justified claim. Is what Darth is trying to explain to him.
You see, I debate hundreds, if not thousands, of people over the last couple of years. If you think your evasiveness is going to schmooze me over, it's not going to happen.
I'm not being evasive.
I asked you a question, sir. Can you falsify the Christian God?
Do you understand that you're talking in a circle?
Can you falsify the Christian God, sir?
Are you just a troll? Is this all?
No,
I spent so much time today looking at this argument. I think you're just a troll.
Okay, good. You can say that all you want. Now, I'm still waiting for you to falsify the Christian God.
But I don't have to falsify the Christian God. We have to talk about my Can I please finish my statement? Responding to you.
Falsify the Christian God.
I say that I have presuppositions, and you say those presuppositions necessarily entail that God is not real.
Do you have any objective stipulations that falsify the Christian God?
I don't understand the question.
Do you have any truth claims that falsify the Christian God?
I don't need any truth claims.
Can you falsify the Christian God?
I have, by assuming my presuppositions, according to you.
So what you were saying is, in virtue of something that you imagine, because it doesn't cohere and conform to the Christian God, therefore the Christian God doesn't exist?
If that's your argument, sure.
No, sir, that was a question. It wasn't an argument.
It sounds like you're just rephrasing what we've already stated 5 minutes ago.
Listen, there's only so much evasiveness I'll put up with.
I'm not being evasive at all.
One more time, I'm going to ask you, what is your objective statement that falsifies the Christian God?
And again, I will answer the same way that I have presuppositions that are necessarily unjustified because epistemologically we cannot justify some presuppositions. And according to your definition of a Christian God, these presuppositions necessarily entail that he is not true.
Okay, so you falsify the Christian God from your foundational starting points, and are they the product of your imagination?
I'm not sure. I can't really say.
So you don't know where they come from?
That is exactly what I have just said to
Okay,
you.
good. So the Christian God does not exist because of you have ideas that you don't know that they're veridical.
Exactly.
Good. So the Christian God is falsified in virtue of I don't know?
Correct.
Okay, do you realize how absurd that is?
Can you justify your presuppositions to me?
Do you see? I hope somebody's recording this. Okay.
Why are you acting like presuppositions need to be properly justified?
Do you realize what you just said?
He's grandstanding right now.
You just stated that the Christian God does not exist because I don't know.
Can I hear your justification for your presupposition?
Did you? I will be glad to discuss with you my point of view, but I'm waiting for a cogent defeater for the Christian God. Saying the Christian God does not exist in virtue of you stipulating I don't know is not a defeater for the Christian God.
I don't appreciate characterizing our epistemological limits as I don't know.
Sir?
No, I don't. I reject your characterization of my argument. So can I rephrase my argument? Can I rephrase my argument?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So epistemologically, we cannot evaluate whether or not presuppositions are true or false. It is not possible for humans to do. For you to summarize that position, for you.
Bingo. That's game over. If you can't. That's the whole point. Due to human limitations, we have to submit to the God's authority. If we don't, doing a review on this debate.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Just kind of reviewing this debate between Destiny and Darth.
Oh, right on. Hey, real quick. I just came up to chill, really, if that's cool. If you don't mind me just hanging out instead of just typing in the comments. I'm not gonna interrupt or nothing.
Okay, but I don't see if you're not going to talk, then I don't see the point. But sure, I guess.
No, that's cool. I mean, I can drop down. I just, what I wanted to ask was, if you don't mind me sending some of the stuff that you have, because, you know, I know the majority of this stuff. I don't know how to put it in the technical terms like you do. So I get caught up in the weeds of like trying to dumb it down for them. But if I know the actual,
I struggle with that too, because if you talk too technical, then they don't understand.
Yeah, and so I try to dumb it down, and they still don't understand. So it just gets frustrating, you know. But I figured if I at least had like technical terms, it's something they could, like a keyword they could like research, you know.
I mean, there's like books you can point people to. Like I bring up the Objective Proof for Christianity, or there's like there's a paper. Here, let me see.
Do you belong to a Discord, like an open Discord that I could join?
I could give you you could DM me on Discord.
Okay. Yeah, I just got on there like the beginning of the year.
Here. So what's your let's see, I can search you.
What would it be under? Romans 7? Hold on, actually. I can't remember. Like, how would you, because I have two names, like it's the two.
Your Discord username?
Let me see. Because there's one that's
What's up, chat? Kayla, so are you an atheist? Kayla, do you know that you're a Satanist? Do you know that the Bible has a really positive message for women? In the early church, women are deacons, and in the Old Testament, women are judges and prophetesses, and women first witnessed the resurrection. Cutting your hair was great. What?
This is my display name right here. I don't know if this is I don't know if that'll get you.
Uncle Mars, why does God want to cut the tip of my pee-pee off?
He doesn't.
Yes, he does. He likes it. He makes them do it.
Dude, you're weird.
Yeah.
In the Bible.
I mean, it speaks for itself, man.
Circumcision's biblical. Why does he want to cut the tip of my pee-pee?
You know what I was gonna say? You need like the toilet flush sound effect.
No, that's gross.
Yeah, I know. It's perfect.
Oh, no, that grosses me out, bro.
Dude, it'd be perfect for him, man. You're flushing this shit away. Just have the toilet flush.
So what's your name in Discord?
Brent, here. It's skull emoji.
Skull emoji?
Yeah, hold on. Here, it's Brent. Here, it's down in the chat. That's the display name. The other one I can't like copy and paste, but it's
What's the other one?
It's Romans.VII.XXIV. So it's basically 724 in Roman numerals. Romans 724 Roman numerals.
Okay, I sent you a photo.
All right. Yeah, because I mean, I want to like. I mean, you're good at what you do, man.
Yeah, I can help you with some stuff. Like academic stuff. You want to like?
Yeah, that's really what I need is academic. I mean, I've been doing this stuff since I was a kid, honestly, like reading the Bible and doing apologetics, but they just don't listen, you know? So I need the technical stuff.
Honestly, if you want to convince people, I wouldn't even use like logical arguments. I'd use like emotional arguments, or I would talk about the integrity of Christianity, about how it like represents like good values and stuff like that.
Yeah, the highest ideals. I mean, in my experience, they just don't care about that stuff, you know?
They don't care about anything, but I think people believe what they want to believe, which is like emotional.
That is true. That is true. It's true, man.
You can talk to their wants and needs in a Christian way, obviously, not like a worldly way. Then, because like everyone, even like scumbag atheists, or like the most hate, everyone wants unconditional love from God. Like no matter that, people want love. Everyone wants love. So that's like a big thing you can like people
that. Yeah, that is true. I mean, they do have like, I don't know if you've read what's his C.S. Lewis, where he talks about the God-shaped hole in their heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
People try to fill it with like like worldly things, but it doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't. It all runs out. God is like, I mean, Christ even talks about the eternal spring.
Even these people with like all the money, fame, women, they're not like happy, because ultimately it's about love, and they know that like people are only friend for superficial reasons, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's why we have to come at them with like patience and grace, but it is really hard because like seeing their stuff, It's like they don't even listen to themselves. You know, they don't even hold themselves up to the same standards they hold other people to.
No, because they're being emotional. They're not being logical. They're like,
Yeah, exactly.
it's like you can't reason with a flat earther.
Yeah.
They didn't get to flat Earth because they're being reasonable.
Dude, yeah, I've been dealing with like atheism and non-belief my dad is a staunch atheist. Me and him don't even talk. I live in his house because of a house fire. And I just avoid him literally like the plague. Like if he's out in the kitchen, I just stay in the room because it's just he like Trump did derangement syndrome is like alive in him. Just to give you a small example, when Trump like dodged that bullet that took his ear, that took like the tip of his ear off, my dad, he called him a coward for ducking.
Are you a Republican?
That's how bad it is.
Are you a Republican?
I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not.
Okay, well, first off, I want to talk about question 4. So, can you define what you think sacrifice is?
Hello, are you an adult?
Why would I need to be an adult? I'm educated. I'm 16.
Because you have to be 18 or else I can get banned for having...
Well, my account is registered as 18.
Yeah, but...
So she's lying.
Yeah.
So she wanted to debate theology while admitting that she's going to be, she's capable, she's willing to be dishonest. I mean, it speaks for itself. That's why I say God allows atheism just for the stark contrast against his values. So we have like opposition and victory, and we see, you know, for the same reason, like he allows sin and dirt, so we can get clean, and we see dirt. When we experience dirt, we want cleanliness. When we see atheism and its hypocrisy, we avoid it. And so, you know, he is the avoidance of sin. He's the avoidance of hypocrisy. He's the avoidance and the negation of all these, of all the things they represent. Sorry.
She's a Christian.
No, I'm not going to say she's not. Why are you lying about your age? Why are you being deceitful?
She didn't lie about her age, dude. She was honest. She said she's 16.
Well, no, I meant about her. You're right. I just meant in her bio, like she's registered as an 18-year-old, so she can. But she did admit.
I mean, I don't put my real birth date when I registered. That's not lying.
You know, I mean, I don't know, man. The smallest thing from, and again, this is just me. I can't be dishonest. It's actually a fault of mine. I've lost a lot of friends because I am so honest. Because I get convicted. And that's just me. I mean, I'm not going to say we're all on our different walks with Christ. You may get there, you may not get there.
These companies are nefarious, and I don't want them to have my information. It's not like I'm lying.
Yeah, I mean, they are nefarious. I just see my whole thing with politics and this world in general. The only thing that's keeping me here is my children and spreading the gospel. Other than that, Kayla accused me of being scared to death. I'm not going to go and unalive myself because, just because I'm not scared, but I welcome it. I look forward to it. I look forward to eternity with Christ over this nonsense. I mean, partly of what I've been through. I don't know if you remember exactly who I am. The one with the house, the skin graft.
I remember. Yeah.
Yes, the thin-skinned one. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm still going through some nonsense. So I'm ready for it to all be over with. But he's the only hope that I have. He's the only hope that I've had. What's that?
It's kind of that sounds morose. I don't know. I don't really think you shouldn't really think of it like that way.
Well, I mean, it is, but the stuff that I'm going through and have my entire life, bro. I'm not going to say I haven't caught a break. I'm living the life of Job for real, and I'm not saying we all don't struggle, but I'm going through some stuff that's like super hard to reconcile without, like, Christ is saying you can't do this without me, and I have to agree. Like, I would have to make something up if he wasn't around. Like, I thank God for his revelation in my life. I thank God. Like, he's what gets me through. And it's not just some like security blanket that I invented in my head. Like, it's people like you and people like Darth that like give me hope that like, yeah, I'm not believing in something wrong, you know, because you guys like break it down like, you can't use logic to escape God. You can't. You have to use like delusion and you know, and self-deceit to escape them, and you really don't even escape them then. I think I got an echo.
I'm not hearing an echo, but yeah, you need to have like Christ is our hope because he defeated death, and that means we have hope for eternal life. Without that hope, there's no freedom. So it's really important. Oh, what is this guy's name?
Armitage.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing well. What would you like to say?
Okay. So your third point there, no slavery in ancient Israel. I just want to ask you about your thoughts about Exodus 20:21. Sorry. It says anyone who beats their male or female slave with a rod must be punished if the slave dies as a direct result, but they are not to be punished if the slave recovers after a day or two, since the slave is their property. How do you see that?
That's like a law to protect a worker or servant from abuse.
But you're also borrowing. You're making judgment without God,
so like,
as well.
If someone is going to beat their servant, there's going to be like a good reason. They're not just going to randomly beat people for no reason. Like, imagine you walked in on your servant like abusing your child or something, right? You're going to beat the crap out of them. So the idea is that they would have a good justified reason to beat the person. They're not just being abusive.
Oh, okay. Well, I think that beating anyone is not really that great, is it? Regardless of what they've done.
Are you kidding me? If you walked in on someone abusing your child, you wouldn't beat the crap out of them?
It doesn't say that.
Does it not say that?
No, you're using a double bluff there.
No, you're adding. Hold on.
It says exactly what it is.
It would be implied through like the context of the text.
Oh, the context. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you have to use context.
So what is the context?
That you're not to like beat someone for no reason.
But it doesn't say in there that there is a reason.
Yeah, it would be implied due to the context.
Oh, implied. Well, it doesn't say that in there. That's the thing.
So what? So you're making it say
so you can't beat people.
So does it say that they're beating them for no reason? Does it say that?
Does it say that they're beating them for a reason?
No, it doesn't say. So
there we go.
How do we know? So which is it?
Exactly.
Which is it?
I mean, it's from the Old Testament.
So which is it? I'm asking you. Which is it?
Which is it? Well, it doesn't say
I'm asking you.
Why. It doesn't say why they're beating.
I'm saying it's implied due to the other books and the context of that book.
Which other books?
Even the books of the Bible, the Old Testament. So if we look at the context, or even if we look at the context of Exodus, it would be implied that there would be a justified reason to beat your servant.
Where does it say that? It doesn't say that. It doesn't say what reason you're beating your servant or your servant.
I said it's implied implicitly due to the context of the book of Exodus.
Where is it implied implicitly? It doesn't say.
Sure it does.
Why doesn't it make it more, outstanding? Why is it not saying that? As far as I'm concerned, people there, you can beat your slave, regardless of what's happening.
Exodus 20:13-21 talks about love for your neighbors.
Yeah, but it doesn't say, it says about beating and hurting someone else. It's not very godly, is it?
But how do you know what godly is?
Well, how do you know what godly is?
Because he told us, and we believe him. You don't trust him. You don't trust him. You don't take him for his word.
Well, you do? Is his word. That is his word. It doesn't say any reason to why someone got beaten or didn't get beaten.
Yeah, you're adding the context. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it doesn't say why. It says so many other things about, in another part of it, beating a pregnant woman. That's context. But
It doesn't it doesn't say to beat a pregnant woman.
It does in Exodus. It does. You keep reading. You obviously don't know your book.
You're being dishonest. I've read this book multiple times. I've never come across beating a pregnant woman.
Yes, it does. It does. Let me find it. One sec.
You're actually insane. No offense.
Yeah, this is just goofy.
I mean, Dar says it best. The 3 Ds is all they have. I try to get up on here and debate because I got to work on my patience. But these people just drive me insane with like their willingness to just be so full of shit and expect everyone else around them not to be. I'm trying to look up his thing. My phone, I'm on my son's phone looking it up. It's taking a while to charge.
Even within Exodus, if you come across your enemy's ox or donkey wandering away, be sure to return it. If you see the donkey of someone who hates you falling under its load, do not leave it there. Be sure to help him with it. So there's passages about like caring for others. Exodus 22, 21 through 24. Do not mistreat, oppress a foreigner, for you were foreigners in Egypt. Do not take advantage of a widow or the fatherless. If you do, and they cry out for me, I will certainly hear their cry. You're not allowed to take advantage of people.
Yeah, I mean, that's throughout the entire Bible that we're supposed to defend the widow, take care of the orphan. The whole point of the strong is to defend the weak. I mean, like what we've done to the least of humanity, we've done for Christ.
So you're not to covet your neighbor's possessions. That's an indirectly support for love and respect for your neighbor's well-being. Leviticus directly commands love for your neighbor. Jesus affirms this in the Gospels. So it wouldn't make sense for the master to beat the servant with like no reason, just to be mean. But when they read that, that's what they think is going on because they're crazy.
Yeah, because that's all they read. They don't read context. As soon as they, and they still appeal to God's morals. They say morals are subjective, but slavery is bad. Like, it's ridiculous. They don't even hear themselves. Morals? If morals are subjective, then leave the slavers alone.
All right. This guy's rejecting my code, dude. I'm going to play more of this debate. So Destiny's trying to argue that God doesn't exist because I don't know.
Summarize that position. Can I finish my statement, please? Sure. For you to evaluate that statement and claim that it's the same as just simply saying, I don't know, is an incredibly harsh characterization of what I'm saying.
Okay, do you know what's possible, sir?
Using what we have agreed are reasonable ways to make deductions.
I'm not interested in what is we. I'm asking you, do you know what's possible?
Like truly, I don't know what the question means. Like truly, no. The answer is no. The answer is always going to be no to a question like that. No.
Okay, so you don't know anything is possible.
Correct. From a very foundational level, correct.
Right. So then why are you here stipulating anything if you don't know anything is possible?
Because I'm curious how you can make those same claims when you rely on the same presuppositions that I do. Sure.
Okay. So anything that you assert, you don't know that it's possible, right?
Okay. I want to hear your justification for your presuppositions. I've already answered yes a million times, sir. I don't want to talk about my system anymore. I want to hear you justify your presuppositions.
Okay, good. So I will explain to you justifying the Christian worldview momentarily, but I want to go on record here.
It's already been on record, sir. Nobody is hiding.
Do not overtalk me. If you overtalk me, I'll server meet you. Okay.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Oh boy. Right. Yeah.
Destiny.
Now, I wanted to go on record here, and I hope somebody's recording this, that he has stipulated he doesn't know anything is possible. Okay.
Welcome to epistemology. Yes, that is correct.
Good. I'm going to remind you of that further on in the conversation, I'm going to Mirandize you. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Now, we can know that the Christian God exists in virtue of the Christian God's revelatory acts. And
he fucking Mirandized Destiny, and now Destiny's gonna get Mirandized for real. Oh my god, that aged well. That aged well. Hello. I can't remember your name. I know who you are though. You're on like a Joyful Apostate, I think, is live. And Cyber Deconstruction. Or is it Cyber Deconstruction? Sometimes Hanji. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know I couldn't pronounce it. Hanji.
revelation, which include how he's constructed this world.
Okay, wait, before we do this, can I stop and ask you questions? Because I don't want to hear you preach for 2 hours, Weekend. If not, I have no interest.
I didn't even finish.
I don't need you to finish this.
Okay, I don't want to have to server mute you, sir.
So I don't want to listen to you preach.
I don't want to have to server.
Calm down.
I server muted. Okay.
Stop. Unserver.
No, Darth, that's not us, mom.
He's not preaching.
You just
shut the fuck up. It's my goddamn server. All of you. Destiny, you the fuck included. Because I don't know who the fuck you are. All I know is that you're doing some bullshit AMAs on fake fucking politics servers. So you're gonna shut the fuck up. And Darth, you're gonna shut the fuck up. Because Destiny, the only fucking thing I know about you is that you have the same name as a fucking video game.
I'm Destiny from Pierce
Here's
Morgan.
what we're gonna fucking do. We're gonna unmute Destiny, right? See if he's shitty.
I have no idea what's happening. So there's apparently a debate. I don't know what Discord server. I'm sure this has to be Discord. Cyber, a disgusting punk saying the worst things about the Lord. Hanji claims, Greek scholar. Yeah, Cyber doesn't really like the Lord too much. He does not, but given his choices, I mean, that kind of makes sense because the Bible sort of disagrees with his philosophy of life. So, makes sense. Makes sense he doesn't like it.
The video game, okay? Then we're gonna go and have this shit make sense, right? And if you don't like it,
Destiny, I don't know who you are. You're just a video game to me.
Destiny included. Because in case you forgot, we are the largest politics server, always will be.
Oh my god, this freaking ego crap.
Ask for AMAs. People like Destiny just show up here because, well, they fucking have to if anybody gives a fuck. So,
dude, Destiny is like way more famous than you. What a moron.
How do you even find out the size of a server?
Here's how we're going to start. You go on and
my Discord server is so cool, blah, blah. Destiny's got a massive community. What a moron.
Your point, but do not cut Destiny off if he asks a question. So you go and
cut me off.
Okay, so this is my question. This is what I would like to do for a discussion.
No, you asked me a question.
All right, hold on. No, we're going to restart. We're restarting.
Oh my God, Mom,
he
shut up.
asked me to defend the Christian worldview.
That's not what I asked.
Sorry, you defended that for forever. We get it.
This is
Destiny's going to ask you a question, and then you're going to answer it. You guys can go, and you could go back and forth. So how we're going to do it is Destiny's going to ask questions. The Christian worldview thing, what just happened before? So Destiny, go ahead.
Okay, this is how I would like to do this discussion. If you don't like to do it, I acknowledge that, and that's fine.
So your opinion does not matter.
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to Darth.
Okay, well, ask your fucking question. We don't want to hear how the debate's going to go.
Stop moderating.
If you want to have this conversation, I want to move through point by point rather than me asking a question and then you giving me
I'm not hearing a question.
Bring up your point.
My question
Oh my
is,
God, this
can you
moderator. I am about to lose my shit. This moderator is so bad.
Your presuppositions without talking about the whole history of your Christian faith. I want you to justify your presuppositions. So for example, you interpret the divine word of God by reading it in a Bible. How can you trust your senses there to lead you into some kind of like ability to perceive words on paper? How can you justify that presupposition?
Okay, sir, you're asking more. You're asking.
Yeah,
a
that
more
was a little bit
question.
low. I mean,
Moderator, shut up. Why is the moderator talking? Moderator does not need to talk. So what is going on? There was the conversation was fine, and then this guy.
Hey, listen. Yeah, you need to listen, Destiny. Yeah. Now, how do I
so
justify?
What is the main?
Oh my God,
Darth, he's asking you to justify it, but in I think that's the entire Christian worldview, correct?
Perception?
Yes.
In virtue of God has ordained that mankind, insofar as we don't have a major defect in our senses, has basically reliable sense perception.
How do you know you don't have a major defect in your sense?
Why? How would I know?
So are you telling me you don't know? You're basing your entire worldview on a sense that you can't justify?
No, I do know because God has revealed it.
How do you know that God is revealing it to you?
He revealed it in the Bible.
How were you able to read the Bible and trust the words that you're reading?
With my eyes, because
how do you know your eyes accurately give you?
I'm going to explain to you because the way that I know things is I'm starting with my absolute. My absolute is the Christian worldview as an entire package. Okay?
How do you justify your absolute of the Christian worldview?
By God's revelation.
How does God reveal things to you in a way that you know He's revealing things to you?
Okay, through His sovereignty and omniscience and omnipotence.
And how are you capable of perceiving that?
Okay, how do I do that? Through the way God constructed this world.
You're not answering the question.
I am answering the question.
How are you able to perceive the world?
How do I perceive the world? The way that God designed it.
How are you able to perceive what God designs?
How do I did it? He gave me senses. He made molecules.
How can you trust those senses?
Is he not listening to himself? That my mind doesn't even question the basic reliability.
Your mind doesn't question it, so it's unjustified. Can you repeat that? That your mind does not question your senses? That these are unjustified? That is exactly what you're saying.
The irony.
Okay, no, I didn't say it was justified. Justification has to do with a justificatory path. I can know something even though I may not be able to articulate how I know it. We can know things ultimately because of the way God has ordained things. So, for example, can a child know certain things without knowing how it knows it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Oh, nice. He caught JJ. Destiny was trying to promote something called the KK principle. And so the KK principle, no one really believes the KK principle. Darth is catching him out on that. Oh, you got some background.
That child knows some things without knowing how it knows it because there's some justificatory path?
Sure.
Good. So I can know things such as my sense perceptions are basically reliable because God has ordained me being made in His image that I don't even question the basic reliability of my sense perception. Now, I question that I might be nearsighted or farsighted or things like that, but that is not the same thing as questioning the basic reliability of my sense perception. So I know that my sense perceptions are basic reliably because the way God has ordained mankind's sense perceptions and cognition to operate.
If you can presuppose that, then why can I not presuppose?
I didn't say.
You just did. You gave me a reason for why you presuppose it. Unjustified.
Well, when you say it's a presupposition, what do you mean by that?
A presupposition is something that is necessarily unjustified. You've told me that you're incapable of justifying it because you don't know the words or whatever, but that's your telling me that.
And those fundamental mental states do have a justification. They have a justificatory path in the way God ordained it.
And how do you know that?
How do I know that? Because He revealed it.
And do you understand that you're moving in circles?
Yeah. It's called epistemological circularity. Do you object to that in principle?
Not necessarily, but you made it sound like I was the only one that was circularly rationalizing my beliefs.
No. Well, here's the situation. Either you're going to be employing epistemological circularity or non-epistemological circularity. Now, when you were employing circular reasoning yesterday, was that epistemological circularity or non-epistemological?
When I say that I have presuppositions that are unjustified and I just assume them to be true on the merit of themselves, yes.
All right, but epistemological circularity has to do with your ultimate authority. Are you aware of that?
Surrounding.
I don't think I believe that's true.
That's how I'm defining epistemological circularity. It deals with what your ultimate authority is. If it doesn't deal with your ultimate authority, then it is non-epistemologically circular. Yesterday, you were not appealing to epistemological circularity, unless, of course, you want to change your mind right now.
No, I believe I was appealing to something. Do you have anything else to say insofar as justifying?
What? I got flagged for harassment? What?
For
What are
something
we?
I said?
Who are we harassing? We're playing a clip of a debate.
If it was something I said, it would let you know, right?
No one was saying anything in the debate that was like insulting, were they?
No, I mean, I just called somebody a lying clown chicken shit, but that just happened, and he is. But I won't use that language anymore. I didn't even report you this time.
I'm gonna drop you down just in case. Like,
Yeah, no problem.
I don't know what's going on. No one's harassing anyone. I don't understand how I get a warning. What would you like to say?
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, I wanted to say, because it seemed like you came really close. I'm an atheist, by the way.
Okay.
So you pointed out the KK principle. That's fine. I think that's fine. But isn't that a double standard? If Darth was asking Destiny how he knows that he knows?
He wasn't asking that. He was asking him to account for like how he can use logic. Why is he able to use logic? Like he's asking that.
Wasn't he asking for justification?
No, like how and why. How is
Like,
it?
how do you know your senses are reliable? You know.
That's what Destiny.
How do you know that you know?
Destiny was asking, trying to. He thought that because Darth has to use his senses to receive revelation, that somehow like a gotcha, that he's also an empiricist. But that doesn't follow.
Right. Yeah, I what I'm kind of pointing out is I think there's a double standard happening where, like Darth said, right? Like babies can know things without knowing how they know it, or a dog or a cat can know something without having to have some kind of rational argument justifying its senses. Like cats don't philosophize, right?
Yeah, I think you can. I think you can know things because you're in God's world. But our argument is that if atheism were true, then you couldn't know things. So the fact that you do know things, the fact that I know things, proves God.
Yeah, but then what's stopping them from saying if you're in a world where brains are constructed by evolution and they're truth tracking models, then you can know things. It's the same thing. It's an externalist framework for justification.
Because like evolution, it could be the case that like reasoning incorrectly helped you survive better.
No, but you're doubting that worldview then. You're not actually starting with the presupposition. It would be like me denying, oh, well, God could have been not truth revealing, right? See, it's not actually accepting the starting point of the worldview. So if you say evolution is not truth tracking, or what evolution produces is not truth tracking, you're not actually engaging with the worldview on offer.
No,
it would be like me arguing
but that's
for
not
a God that doesn't have truth revealing qualities or something like that.
Evolution accounts for survivability, it doesn't account for truth. So you can't use evolution to justify truth. It doesn't do that. You're making it do something that
In this
doesn't.
worldview, it's actually truth tracking. That there's a 100% match.
That's not what evolution says. So you're just making something up. That's not a thing.
No, well, you can say that they're like highly correlative. That, for example, a brain that tracks the truth versus a brain that doesn't track the truth survives more, and I think that's obvious.
No, it's not. You could say the opposite easily.
That makes sense. Why would me thinking that I'm in a dream or something like that predict higher survivability?
So like anytime
if I didn't trust my senses, why would that
I can easily
lead to
explain
survivability?
Yeah, like so anytime you heard the movement in the brushes, you thought it was like a predator and you ran away, and that made you survive better. But that doesn't truth track, like, because sometimes it wasn't a predator. It could have been a non-harmful animal, or it could have been
right. It's a type 2 error, not a type 1 error. So, but yeah, we're talking about type 1 errors, not type 2 errors. So the kind of error we're talking about with survivability is
Okay.
that trusting my senses isn't gonna be trusting my senses isn't gonna be worse for my survivability. That the kind of world, like just the ontology, in the ontology, like the kinds of things that exist, trusting my senses is the correct thing for survivability. So if you accept that as the starting point,
no reason to think that.
then you can know things.
No, you can't.
It's the same thing where you say, like, if you start with the assumption that there's a God that has a truth-revealing nature, then you can know things.
No. Under your own assumptions, it makes knowledge impossible. What you're saying about evolution is not, it's just not the case. Evolution doesn't account for truth. So, on your own
truth, that's not what truth comes from, right?
Truth is God. That's what truth is.
We're talking about the justification component, right, of knowledge. And JTB, let's just say it's JTB.
You can't justify knowledge. That knowledge is possible.
Yeah, but that's exactly, yeah, you just said you can't justify knowledge, but that's the KK principle. You're saying that I need to know that I know something.
No, that's not the KK principle. It's not the KK principle. It's about the possibility of knowledge, not if you know that you know.
Yeah, okay. So you accept that there could be knowledge internal to this worldview, but you just don't think that someone could be justified in thinking they have knowledge?
I'm saying that if atheism were true, knowledge would be impossible, and only Christian theism can explain how knowledge is possible. Therefore, Christian theism is true. Due to the impossibility of the contrary, because you can't deny that knowledge is possible.
Yeah, well, you're setting yourself up to fail. You're never going to actually justify that categorical claim because you have an infinite amount of other worldviews and you're not going to do it one by one.
Yeah, but the argument's not an inductive survey that has to, I don't have to debunk every worldview.
Yeah, so what's the categorical proof, right? What's the syllogism that establishes that all non-Christian worldviews are false?
Well, there's one I have about like the ontology that only Christianity posits an ontology where that ultimate reality is a one and a many that's co-equal, co-ultimate. And without a co-equal, co-ultimate one and many, that you couldn't have a foundation for knowledge because for knowledge to be possible, connections and distinctions between objects have to be real.
Okay, how is it that this is the only ontology that could be on offer?
What other? There is no other computer that posits a.
Well, that's just an argument from ignorance. How do you know that there are none?
It's not an argument from ignorance because we're talking about our foundational beliefs that we use to react. We're talking about like what's the case, like metaphysics.
Right, but you're ruling out. Just remember that you're trying to rule out the worldviews that people haven't even thought of yet. You know, in 50 years, we could think of a new ontology that could explain X, Y, Z. Right? You're trying to rule out even those. You're saying that no possibilities exist on the natural side.
Right? You're not getting it.
Not just the natural side, but the non-Christian side.
There's only one. There's only one.
It would be like ruling out every God concept, every other God concept, every other natural concept, every other supernatural concept that isn't Christian. You're ruling out all of those. That's a huge burden.
Because there's only one metaphysical reality. That's how it works. There's only one ultimate. Like if I prove that a peak A is the highest peak on the mountain, then in virtue of like peak A being the highest peak, no other peak can be the highest peak. So if I show that the Christian God is ultimate, no other God can be ultimate. That's how ultimates work.
Yeah, so you're justifying that the contrary is impossible by reasserting the conclusion?
No, I make a positive case for Christianity where like I say like we have this special knowledge that comes from God's revelation in the course of creation and human history. And if you deny that knowledge, you'll be reduced to an absurdity where you'll have no coherent system to say anything is like true or false.
Why are you justified in trusting that revelation?
because the denial of the revelation due to human limitations leads to absurdity where you couldn't say anything is true or false.
Yeah, okay, but you still haven't established that that's true. You haven't categorically shown all of the
Yes, I have. It's
possible
it's like
false,
if you
they're
if
impossible.
you're not getting this. So like if let's say I claim I used to live in Queens, New York, and you're like, I'm skeptical. Prove to me, demonstrate you lived in Queens, New York. So I could demonstrate to you I lived in Queens, New York because I would reveal like knowledge that you couldn't Google and only someone who actually lived there could know. And so I demonstrate to you that I live in Queens, New York. So God, Jesus, demonstrates he is who he is because of the attributes he reveals himself we see are necessary to explain like things like knowledge, truth, reason. Because of like the Trinitarian God, for example, is necessary because of the truth about metaphysics and ultimate reality. And so to deny that makes it impossible to make sense of our observable experience.
Yeah, so okay, let me see if I can summarize this correctly. Are you saying that the impossibility of the contrary is established because God reveals knowledge in a way that guarantees certainty for that topic?
The only way to live consistently is to accept God's revelation because you already live as if God's revelation is true.
Wait, so was that a yes or a no? Did I get that right, or did I capture that argument correctly?
No, I don't think so. Like everyone operates out of a system or a model of reality, and only the Christian system is like coherent. There's no way to make a coherent system apart from God's revelation.
And how do you justify that in your mind? What makes you confident of that? Do you have reasons? Like, I have reasons why I'm confident that the vast majority of God worldviews are false, right? Like, I think I've heard good contradictions for Islam and etc. Right? Mormonism, obviously false. I'm confident that those are false because of that. Is it the same way for you, where you have reasons for all other worldviews to be false, or do you have, or is it only based on the revelation? This like guaranteed revelation from God's nature or something like that.
It's a philosophical proof because there's a relationship between existence, truth, and ethics. Like if something exists, then it's true that something exists. And if it's true, and if something's true, then something must exist. So there's a reciprocal relationship there. Same with like ethics, because truth requires like value. Like, why should I value the truth? Why ought I believe the truth? Why ought I be consistent? Things like that. So we need that's your worldview is existence, truth, and ethics. And since there's a reciprocal nature, they all depend upon each other. We need one source to get all those things from. So that's what we have in God. God creates the world. God's the source of truth, and God's the source of our ethics. And so he unifies our worldview. We have unity in our worldview. And if you deny God and his revelation, you'd have no way to know what would be unifying your worldview. And so you would have like you'd have a model of reality that's disconnected and disjointed, and you couldn't make sense of anything. It would be total absurdity.
So, but that's just based on an ontological story and not a very good one. Like, it's not special.
It's metaphysically.
Think about it.
It's metaphysically true, sir.
Well, can I here? If God exists, which is the issue at hand, if God isn't deceptive, which is an assumption, if God created humans to receive these revelations, which is another assumption, like if God actually chooses to reveal those truths, the truths that you think he chose to reveal, which is another assumption, then and only then could you know could you know something under this view of knowledge. But all of those are just mere assertions. They're not arguments. It's like a string of unsupported claims that are dressing up as an epistemology. That's why you never hear like Greg Bonson saying
Hold
things
on. When you say
God
that's an
revealed it.
assertion, you're saying that A equals B. That's an active predication. So, like, what would be your ultimate reference point to predicate that's not God?
Yeah, it would be what's on the not Christian God category. It would be one of those.
Yeah. So, do you see how you're actually, whether you admit it or not, you're actually like you are acting like Christianity is true. So, you can't live like it's not because it's necessary.
That's exactly what we're arguing, and so you're
Do
restating.
you not understand, dude? You just
what
lost the
you're supposed to be
debate.
concluding.
I get this. You lost the debate. So when you say you're making an assertion, that was an act of predication, and you're using the Christian God as your ultimate reference point to predicate, whether you admit it or not. Aren't you?
False. That's false. You're actually
Well,
presupposing
what are you
my
using? What are you? Okay,
my
so what's
ontology.
your ultimate
No, look,
reference
watch.
point to predicate?
Anyone can. Yeah, I'll tell you that in 1 second. So anyone can play the if this ontological story is true game. Okay, anyone can posit a hypothetical framework where
one's doing
knowledge
that.
works.
No one's doing that.
Presuppositionalists posit
You're fucking
God.
dude.
And look,
You're predicating.
naturalists-
What's your ultimate
look,
reference point?
Yeah. This is my ultimate reference point, right? I'm positing a universe with reliable sensory systems that were honed by natural
That's not
selection.
answering the question. That's a dodge.
It is.
You're
It is.
dodging. You're dodging.
No, that's the ontology that I'm
You're a
appealing to.
liar. You're lying. I can't have you up here if you're gonna lie.
It's not a lie, I promise.
No, you're completely BSing me. You know it, I know it, and everyone listening knows it. And it's making my blood boil because you're lying to my face. That's disrespectful. You're trying to provoke me. That's wrong. What a jerk. Welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, Spicy, you're just a liar, so no one cares. Everyone saw you lie. It's going up on YouTube. Welcome, Tom.
So, science is a theistic concept. How so?
Well, science requires things like the uniformity of nature or laws of logic, and both those things are only possible in the Christian worldview.
That is inherently false.
Oh, really? You can do science without logic?
No, you can do science without Christianity.
Yeah, but can you do logic without Christianity?
Yes. Yes, you can.
No way. No way.
So you're telling me my ability to observe reality, test reality, and make up hypothesis based off of those observations that could potentially lead to a theory that even may lead to a law is not possible without the Christian God?
Absolutely. So you need logic, right? Do you think logic is real?
Well, it is a form of thought.
Yeah, logic are real thoughts. That's true.
I mean, so is ethos and pathos, if you want to get into the details of thought process, but...
So logic are real thoughts, okay? And logic is necessary, right?
Depends on which portion of your brain you're using. Because if you're trying to make a emotional appeal...
It doesn't depend. Laws of logic are necessary.
I would say laws of logic are necessary for making a fundamental, accurate observation of your world surroundings, but I don't think that has anything to do with the Christian God.
The laws of I don't know why you're just prevaricating. So the laws of logic are necessary, and they're thoughts. So that means they're necessary thoughts. Okay, that's what that means.
Okay, sure.
We need a necessary mind. And because we need logic to do science, therefore science is a theistic concept. There you go.
Do you know what theism is?
Theism is the belief in the creator-creature distinction.
Okay, so you do have a good understanding of what theism is. Science does not rely on a theistic point of view to come up with our theories.
I just walked you through how you need logic to have a scientific theory, and you need God for logic. I just walked you through that.
I don't even know where to begin with this, to be honest. Wow. Okay.
Well, I think
I mean,
you have to concede. I don't know how you could possibly defend that science could work without God.
quite simply, I don't need God to tell me that gravity works.
You need logic.
I do need logic, but that does not mean logic is dictated by God. And
I
if we're
just
going to go with
explained it.
God, let's go with God. Let's dissect that real quick.
What?
There are over 2,000 gods in the world that are worshipped today.
And there's also millions of scientific hypotheses. Why do you believe the one hypothesis?
I don't believe any hypothesis. My job is to come to a hypothesis that is tested, and then it's up to my colleagues in the scientific community to then validate it or disprove it. And I rather them disprove my hypothesis
But
because I'm going to learn more from a failure than I am from being right.
and we also have a community of like Bible scholars to validate, interpretations of the Bible and stuff like that. So I don't understand like this idea of like there's thousands of gods. How can you know your God's true? What if we apply that to science? I could say, well, there's thousands of hypotheses to explain any observable phenomena. How do we know your hypothesis is true?
Well, for
It's not
one,
logic.
let's go with gravity, for example.
I understand like how science and evidence works, but I'm saying the same. Like we have evidence and reasons to think what we do. We have scholarship and like academic support. We're not just believing things willy nilly.
Yes, I would agree. I would agree with that 100%. Yes, we have academic support. Is why we don't just think that apples fall from trees randomly.
Right. It's the
It's
same thing with
been.
Christianity. We believe in the Christian God because it's supported through the evidence.
I wouldn't say there's any evidence for the Christian
Yeah, but
God.
you would have no basis to say that.
You'd have to prove me wrong. Show me the evidence.
Well,
Show me the data.
you're saying like the Bible's not the authority, but then they're like, how do you even do science? Like, where's the uniformity of nature come from?
For one, the uniformity of nature is not something that is observable.
Yeah,
The fact that the universe is constantly in a state of decay and chaos, if you're familiar with chaos theory, there is no natural order. You can observe this all throughout the universe, that there is no natural order.
There's order. That's what like science is based off the idea that the future resembles the past. That's what I mean by order.
Science is not based off of the future resembling the past.
Yes, it is.
Science is based off of constant observation.
That's inductive reasoning.
Yes, it is.
And inductive reasoning presupposes the uniformity of nature. So unless you can justify the uniformity of nature, that would undermine all scientific inquiry.
That's a false argument. That's a fallacy.
It's not. It logically follows. Is science uses inductive reasoning for scientific claims. So if inductive reasoning is not warranted, then no scientific claim is warranted. It follows logically. Logically necessary.
Right, but okay, let's say I make the claim that the sky is purple because of excess nitrogen in our atmosphere, right? Let's just say that that is a case that I'm claiming. Just because I claim it does not mean that it's true. Other scientists in that field would then go observe the same thing that I'm observing, run their own test, and maybe one of them comes back and goes, no.
Yeah, that's induction. Like, what is it? I don't understand. Like, what's the point?
This chemical is causing the problem. And then there's no hypothesis to go off to. Oh boy.
Yeah, but either way, you're using inductive reasoning to do science. So unless you justify inductive reasoning, then scientific claims are not justified, warranted. And if scientific claims aren't warranted, that's a big problem, bucko. I don't know. He keeps teacupping. Whoa. What double standard? Are you back? There's no.
Do what?
You don't seem to have any uniformity in your connection to the internet.
Is the problem?
I'm having trouble hearing you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I kept getting phone calls. I
Okay.
apologize.
They're popular.
Based off of what we've said so far, just because you want to tie logic to the Christian God does not mean it cannot also be held true for the Hindu gods or the gods of the Greek pantheon or the Roman pantheon or the Egyptian pantheon.
Yeah, it does. Because they need certain attributes. Like those gods aren't even real gods. Those are like created beings.
And the God that you worship is not a created being?
Correct. God is uncreated. There's the creator-creature distinction. We're creaturely, God's uncreated.
So how can you prove that God is not a created being in the Christian sense?
Well, the only way we can know anything about God is God has to tell us about himself. And so that's what he told us. He's eternal.
Okay, yes, that's what you said. And the Christian God extends from the Canaanite pantheon. He just became the dominant deity out of that pantheon.
No.
Yes.
No. The Bible is a polemic against Babylonian cosmogony. So it's the opposite of that. It's written to say that that's not true.
So you're saying Yahweh, which is the name that was given to the Israelites from the God that they worship, who the Christian God is based off of, did not come out of the Sumerian Canaanite culture.
No, they made something new, but they used references from other cultures. It's a polemic saying that their gods are false and that the Yahweh is the true God. It's an attack on their gods. So the opposite of what you're saying.
Okay. I'm not an expert in that
I know
field, so I'd have to take your word for that one.
you're getting deceived by these liar atheists on social media. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Do what?
Yeah, there's a lot of I see liar atheists that say these things that like Christianity is a Canaanite god or something like that. It's not true.
Well, I'm just going off of where, because everything comes from somewhere. The Israelites somehow came out of the Sumerian culture. And that is not what I'm saying. That is historically proven that the Israelite culture came out of the Sumerians. It's the same reason why the Sumerian text has a lot of similarities with the Bible, like the story of Gilgamesh and the story of Noah.
It's because they're attacking those. It's an attack against those stories. It's saying those stories aren't true. That's why they're similar. That's why they have
Okay, but the story of Gilgamesh predates the story of Noah by almost 1,000 years.
So what?
So then something can't attack something to say it's inherently false when it came before the exact same thing that you're talking about.
That's what?
It predates it. So if the story of Gilgamesh predates the story of Noah, and they share basically identical similarities through both texts, you can see exactly where the story of Noah came from, which is the Sumerian culture.
It's a polemic. It's written to attack Sumerian culture and defend the Israelite nation. So yeah, they're making references to that culture because they're attacking it. They're saying it's not true. This is true. But it's not supporting it. It's not copying it. So your point fails.
I don't see how, because the story of
Oh
Gilgamesh
my
lines up
god!
exactly with the story of Noah.
You were so dense, dude.
They're identical. The stories are basically identical.
They're not. It's a polemic, dude. It's a polemic. A polemic. A polemic. A polemic. You don't get this. Go
Come on.
research it. Go research a polemic.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for coming, man.
Yeah. Have a good day leading people down the wrong direction.
Oh, of course.
Hello.
Hello. What would you like to say?
Which topic do you want to do?
I don't care.
All right, I guess I'll just pick number one. Yeah, I think so. Christianity is objectively proven. Well, I do have an opposing view on that. So first, I guess Christianity is like all other religious belief systems because it relies on faith, not objective proof. Objective proof is something that requires verifiable and empirical evidence. And
yeah, we have hella evidence. What are you talking about?
Like what?
Are you an adult?
What kind of question is that?
Okay. Question. Okay. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Why do you think we have proof objectively for Christianity?
I think we have philosophical proof. I think there's historical evidence. But obviously you're going to reject historical evidence because of your worldview. So I would say I would use like a philosophical proof, which would be the transcendental argument for God.
What argument?
Transcendental argument for God.
Yeah, so I know what you're referring to. Sorry, let me just finish writing this down. Yeah. The transcendental argument for God, that's just, well, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. It just essentially argues that logic, morality, and scientific presupposal for the existence of God, because they require an absolute and immaterial foundation, also universal.
Yeah.
And that's something that only God can provide. So it basically claims that without God, these concepts wouldn't be coherent and they'd just be arbitrary. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the reason I reject that argument is because it assumes what it seeks to prove. Like logic and morality and the uniformity of the nature don't really require a theistic foundation. I think they can be found in naturalistic frameworks. Like logic is not, if that's the first one, I guess I should go for logic and reason. Logic isn't an external entity. It's a system of consistent rules, and it describes how reality operates.
Oh, so logic is a human invention or social construct?
Pardon?
Logic is like a social construct?
Well, I mean, are you asking me a question?
I'm asking if that's what you said. That's what I understood.
No, I'm not saying that. I don't think that logic is merely a human invention or a social construct. I think it's a discovered system of necessity.
So you think it's a real universal principle?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's like it describes the fundamental structure of reality. It's not just something arbitrarily invented. I also for morality, I don't think objective moral values necessitate a deity or like a god.
Can we stay on logic?
All right, sure.
So would you accept that the laws of logic are propositions, meaning they're statements that can be true or false?
Sorry, 1 second. I was writing down the other thing you said. Can you repeat that?
Would you agree that the laws of logic are propositions? That means they're statements that can be true or false. Like A equals A.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I would agree with that. I think they're typically expressed as propositions, so they're just statements that can be either true or false. But also, their truth can be necessary, not contingent. They don't have to depend on a mind to make them true.
But propositions aren't physical.
Sorry, what? Propositions aren't physical? Yeah, you're right. Sorry, I didn't really, I wasn't trying to say that. I don't think that means they require a divine mind to exist. Like, just because something is abstract, that doesn't mean it depends on a consciousness. Like, even without consciousness, numbers and mathematical truths, like 2 plus 2 would still be 4, and logical laws are all abstract concepts, but they exist necessarily. They aren't created or contingent on a mind, if that makes sense.
I'm not sure what you're saying there. What were you saying?
Sorry, I'll try to use an example for it. So, like, if you're arguing that propositions or a logical law requires a divine mind, then you kind of have to show me why they can't exist necessarily on their own, like a mathematical truth.
Well, I would think that requires God too. I think the same thing would apply to him.
So why do you think that logical laws are true? Because God thinks them? Or do you think that?
Well, because they're propositional, so that means they're truth bearers. So it means they're true. And they're not, we generally, philosophers consider them to be necessary truths.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's the next thing that I wanted to go into. Do you think that God recognizes logical laws as true because they're just necessary? Because if so, then logic is independent of God. So it means that God is...
I would say it's a reflection of the mind of God. So that's why I wanted to make the point about propositions have intentionality. They're about something, and that's what thoughts are. Thoughts, like rocks, physical things aren't about anything. A rock isn't about anything, but non-mental things have aboutness. Thoughts are about things, and so laws of logic are thoughts. They're propositions, and
for the laws of logic.
Yeah, the laws of logic are thoughts, and they're necessary. And since they're necessary thoughts, they require a necessary mind. That's God. There you go.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm trying to write this down so I can respond to all of it. 1 second.
There's a philosophical paper. I'll be able to find it. Called the Lord of Non-Contradiction, and basically giving the argument from that paper.
Yeah, so you're basically arguing that the laws of logic are thoughts, and since my thoughts require a mind, then the laws of logic must have a necessary mind, or God. But the problem with that is that argument presupposes or assumes that all abstract and non-physical things must be mental, which is what you kind of need to prove here.
Because of the intentionality, right? So thoughts have intentionality, right?
Mm-hmm. Sorry, that's what your point is?
Yeah, thoughts are about something. Like if you think the Eiffel Tower is in Paris, your thought is about the Eiffel Tower. Non-mental things, they don't have that aboutness. And thoughts also have a truth value. They can be true or false. Physical objects aren't true or false. They just exist. So when we look at the laws of logic, they have these like properties that we associate with thoughts, like intentionality and truth values. And non-mental things don't have those properties. So the laws of logic have to be thoughts.
For the laws of logic, yeah. All right. Well, that also does. Well, I mean, you're arguing that the laws of logic must be thoughts because they have intentionality and they have truth values, and also because physical objects don't have those properties, so logic must exist in a mind. But I think that misapplies intentionality and truth values in a way that doesn't actually justify your conclusion, because I don't think intentionality means mentality. Like, you're saying that because things are, or thoughts are about things, and the laws of logic are about things, then they must be thoughts. But that's a category mistake. Logical laws are descriptions of necessary relationships in reality. They don't think about things. They're just stating.
There are propositions that are about truth. They have aboutness. They're about truth. Physical things don't have. What physical thing is about something?
Actually, I was going to go into the non-contradiction law, but you're right that physical things don't have intentionality or aboutness, but that doesn't mean only minds can contain non-physical truths. That's a false dichotomy to make.
Okay, what non-mental thing has aboutness and truth value? What other non-mental?
I'm saying there's a third category, necessity, because abstract truths exist independently of minds. Like, for example, mathematical truths.
Are you arguing for like Platonism?
Pardon?
Are you arguing for Platonism?
For Platonism? No, I'm not necessarily arguing for that. I mean, I think it's one way to explain the existence of abstract objects like logic and mathematics, but my argument doesn't really require a full commitment to that. I'm just pointing out how necessary truths don't need a mind to exist. They can exist as part of the fundamental structure of reality, like independent of a deity. So, I mean, Platonism is that logical laws exist necessarily.
Yeah, but that doesn't work because if they're just abstractions and they don't stand in causal relations, and also you wouldn't have any access to the Platonic realm. So that doesn't work.
Yeah, so you're bringing up 3 objects to a non-theistic explanation of logic here, I think. Like, if those 3 are abstract objects don't stand in causal relations, and that we wouldn't have epistemic access to Platonic realm, and also that subtractions, you said?
I didn't say. I don't know what that. I didn't say that.
All right, whatever. Well, what I'm saying is, like, I don't think that proves that logic requires a mind. Non-standing in causal relationships isn't a problem. Like, logic isn't a thing that needs to cause anything. It just describes necessary truths about reality. Like,
no, that's not true.
No, okay, well, let me give an example. 1 + 1 = 2 doesn't cause things to exist. It just describes a fundamental fact.
Nothing, dude, something has to cause it to be true.
You're saying that something has to cause 1 +...
Yes, they're truth tracking. So there's something behind. Look, there's something behind the law of contradiction. Like, there's ethics. There's going to be like, you ought not contradict, and also there's going to be that it's like truth tracking.
Yeah, no, that's not. I don't agree with that because I don't. I mean, that's just false.
Something has to. It's not false. You're just being goofy.
No,
if nothing actualizes it, then it's not true. But it is true.
No.
Yes. You don't know what you're talking about.
Let me say what I'm trying to say, though.
No, I'm just gonna kick you. Welcome, Jack.
Sorry, I have to leave. I know I was waiting for a long time, but I have to leave now. But I would like to, if I can, I'll join later. Sorry about that.
Okay, no worries.
Okay. Sorry.
Well, there's a little bit left of this Destiny versus Darth. Maybe we'll try and finish this.
Otherwise, it's
Oops. Dude, you're talking about nonsense. I told you, I gave you the defeater for Platonism, and then you just ignore me.
We're done with this discussion. Do you have any other way to justify your presuppositions?
Okay. No, the justification for anything ultimately that it conforms with the mind of God and how it has been revealed through God's revelation. Now, you stated earlier that
you're not going to answer my question?
Well, what's the question? I'm not answering.
Can you actually just?
Yes, you did. You said they don't need to stand in causal relations. It is what it is. That's losing the debate. You go, it is what it is. You lost the debate.
Justify any of these God is revealed as divine, whatever, without talking in circles. Can you admit to me that you have no justification for these presuppositions?
No, the ultimate,
so that we can be done with this discussion?
When one appeals to one's ultimate authority, it is inescapable, circular in terms.
You said they don't have to stand in causal relations. They're just descriptions, and they don't have to be. Nothing has to make them true. That's goofy.
Of epistemological circularity. Now, do you object to that in principle?
No, this is what I just told you 5 minutes ago.
Okay, good. So you don't reject my invocation that the Bible is the word of God in principle. So,
I absolutely do.
What? Oh, okay. Well, what
Because
is
I don't.
your?
Or sorry, go
Now,
ahead.
hold on a second. Please don't overtalk me. Now, either you object to epistemological.
What is your point?
I was saying that necessary truths don't need a cause. They're true by necessity.
That's
not
what
by
Abernathy
cause.
says. That's stupid.
No, it's not. The idea that something must
Yes,
cause
it
logic
is.
true assumes that logic is a contingent fact.
Bro, what do you mean? That's just assuming what you're trying to, dude. If nothing limits the properties of an object, does the properties of an object have a limit?
So you're saying, yeah, no, I see what you're getting at because like you're trying to argue that if logic exists necessarily, then something must limit it or define it. But
Nothing has
if
to
nothing
limit the
imposes
object.
a limit, then why would logic be arbitrary?
If nothing limits any object, then the object's properties have no limit to them, and they could just be randomly changing or anything, and nothing would make any. There'd be no rhyme or reason. There wouldn't be logic. You need an absolute identity statement to impose and secure identity, to have the law of identity, and then from that, then you can have like things like excluded middle and non-contradiction.
Yeah, no, you're like essentially arguing that without an external absolute to impose limitations, that properties would just be chaotic or like undefined, which makes logic itself impossible. You claim that an absolute identity statement is needed to secure the law of identity.
Yes.
Yeah, and you seem to like suggest that this requires a divine mind, but I think your argument fails for multiple reasons, one of which being that the law of identities doesn't need an external imposer. The law of identity, or A is A, is not something that must be imposed by an external force. It's a necessary truth.
Hey, that's losing the debate, dipshit. You just lost the debate. Do you not get this? You just said it is what it is. You lost.
No, like
okay. You're disconnected from reality. You don't get it.
Logical circularity in principle, or you don't. Do you object to it in principle?
Of course not.
Okay, good. Then when you object to the revelation of the Christian God, is that it does not conform and cohere to your ultimate authority. Now, what is your ultimate authority?
Basic presuppositional beliefs. Things like inductive reasoning, deductive reasoning, the trust in my senses.
Okay, your ultimate authority, is it the basic reliability of your cognition?
Sure. That's one of them, yeah.
Is it the basic reliability?
Destiny's basically saying the same thing the last guy said. I don't know what when you say it is what it is, you lose. Destiny's basically saying the same thing the last guy said. I don't know what when you say it is what it is, you lose. Destiny's basically. Can you fix your echo? I can hear myself.
It wasn't me, I don't think.
I can hear myself. Oh my god. You don't think is right.
Of your sense perception?
That's one of them, yeah.
Now, is the basic reliability of your cognition that is the ultimate authority? Does it have a necessary prerequisite of causality and laws of nature?
I'm not sure how to answer that. Can you ask it in a different way?
Yeah, your fundamental basic cognition, does it depend on your brain states?
I would say yes.
Okay, do your brain states have a prerequisite of causality and laws of nature?
Yes.
So your ultimate authority, which are your brain states and your basic reliability of your cognition, depends upon the prerequisites of causality.
Correct.
Now, okay, good. How is it the case that there are causal connections between events?
Causal connections are an unjustified presupposition. I cannot justify these two.
Okay, good. So basically you've now admitted that your reason, which is the ultimate standard and authority by which you reject the Christian worldview, is that your reason, which is the ultimate authority, is grounded in an unjustified starting point.
I'm sorry, I thought we had this conversation 10 minutes ago. Yes.
Yeah. So basically your entire position is unjustified.
Yes, as is yours. Correct. Do we have anything else to talk about?
Well,
That's a tu quoque.
Hold on a second. Now you just said so is mine. Is that an objective statement?
Yes.
Is that a product of your reason?
Yes.
Is your reason justified?
Yes.
In virtue of what?
In virtue of I feel like I'm using reasonable statements to
In virtue of it is what it is.
Deductively point to the fact
is that objective statement in virtue of causal connections?
Yes.
Okay, how do you know there are causal connections?
Because it's presupposed.
Okay, so do you imagine it?
No, I don't. I reject the idea of imagination as how we justify.
So since you reject imagination, how is it the case that there are causal connections?
Because it's presupposed. Can I ask you a question? Do you think
when you say
I don't want to play this for 10 hours. Can I ask you a question, or are you going to ask me a million more questions?
You're not going to talk over me. You're not going to bulldoze over me, dude. Okay.
I'm not. You're the one bulldozing.
You're not.
I don't want to run down this path, this fallacious path.
Okay. All right. Your server muted. Please do not overtalk me. Okay. I'm going to unmute you. Did that for him. Hold on a second. Let me unmute him. Now, stop overtalking me. Now, you stated that your reasoning is the ultimate authority by which you reject the revelation of the Christian God. So your reasoning is the ultimate authority, but your ultimate authority depends that it is the case that there are causal connections. Now, do you assert that there are causal connections?
Am I only allowed to answer questions for the rest of the time
Are you asserting that there are causal connections?
I think I've proven my point that your presuppositions are unjustified.
Are you asserting that
I'm not going to play this game, dude.
Okay, goodbye. Thank you.
See you later.
For your time.
Yep.
See, this is the name of the game, folks, is once they get confronted with their
Oh, there you go. Ricky Gervais, dude. Ricky Gervais is really dumb when it comes to God. My friend actually sent me a Ricky Gervais video, my foolish atheist friend. Welcome, Crimson.
Hey, how you doing, brother?
Doing well. What would you like to say?
Oh, I agree with absolutely everything that your prompt says. I'm on board with every bit of it.
Okay, right on, man.
I mean, I'm right here with you, and I'll go to the mat with you with anybody.
Yeah, you won't find an atheist in a foxhole. That's for sure.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I just left a live. She's asking for anything that God did without mentioning the New Testament and Jesus Christ. She said, just name one. I says, well, the creation of man and Abraham not having to sacrifice his son, him bringing the Israelites out of Egypt. I named like 12 different things.
Prove God,
she
but
didn't like
you
it.
use any evidence of God. Go.
Yeah. But I mean, she didn't like it because I was able to do it.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, what objective proof do you have that there is a God, and what is this, and what about all the bad things that he does, and this, that, and the other? I says, you know what? It sounds to me like what you want God to do is just to get rid of absolutely all the pain, all the suffering, all the evil and bad and everything else that's happened in the world, and just give an absolute perfectly peaceful existence without no pain, sorrow, suffering, trials, tribulations, and nothing. Yeah. That's what it sounds like you want. And that's not what it's going to be.
They'll like complain that God gave a young child cancer, which we can all agree, obviously, like that's terrible that happens. But it's at the same time, it's like, well, does it make it better because they evolved cancer? Does that somehow make it better? It doesn't fix the situation. And
right. Exactly. And one of my favorite things to go to on that is, why are these kids dying of cancer? Da-da-da-da-da. That's not a very just God. I'm like, actually, it's a very just God because he's keeping them from having a lifetime of chemotherapy, pain, bone transfusions, blood transfusions, and what have you. Keeping them from a lifetime of having to go through all of that pain and degradation. So, yeah, I'd say that's pretty loving.
But when you go through the evolution route, it leads to like absurdities. Like we could say, well, Ted Bundy just evolved to be Ted Bundy. So what, like, why is that wrong or whatever? Like evolution's good for that.
Yeah, and I sit there and I get on this. They get on this evolutionist tip, and I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about that. They're like, okay, this is now. For as long as man has been alive, man has been diving into the waters, diving into the ocean, doing long breath holds, going deeper and deeper, trying to catch fish and this, that, and the other, so on and so forth. They're like, yeah. I says, well, why hasn't man developed gills yet?
Yeah. Well, some people have webbed feet and hands. Well, I've been going. I've been streaming for 2.5 hours. I might get out of here, man. But thanks for coming up. I appreciate your
Oh yeah, no
support.
problem, brother.
All right, take it easy.